Have you ever stared at the mirror and wondered, what if we looked different? Not just hairstyle, height, or skin tone. I mean, fundamentally, anatomically, evolutionarily different. What if, instead of descending from ape-like ancestors, we had evolved from entirely different creatures, say, a bear, a bird, or even a giant insect? How would the world look? These aren't just idle fantasies, they're windows into the strange beauty of evolutionary science, where chance and circumstance sculpt the fate of species. Let's rewind time millions of years to a world unrecognizable to us. Today, we're told that Homo sapiens, the wise apes, arose from a long chain of primates, guided by Darwinian principles of natural selection. It was Charles Darwin, with his groundbreaking 1859 book on the origin of species, who first explained how all life on Earth, including humans, is connected through evolutionary processes. Then, in 1871, Darwin took it further with The Descent of Man, applying his theory specifically to humans. He didn't claim, as many misinterpret, that man descended from apes directly, but rather that humans and apes shared a common ancestor. And even today that common ancestor remains a mystery. But let's give in to the speculation for a moment. What if we had evolved more directly from apes, with less deviation along the evolutionary path? Our posture might still be slightly hunched, our arms longer and more powerful, designed for swinging and climbing rather than fine motor control. Our feet, less refined, might retain opposable toes, giving us the ability to grip branches above and terrain below. We would likely be covered in coarse hair, with keen eyesight built for jungle canopies, and nostrils flared to pick up distant scents. Speech. Perhaps more limited, communication might rely heavily on expressions, body language, and guttural calls. Our societies would be deeply tribal, with loyalty and dominance playing central roles. Technology might evolve more slowly, tempered by instinct and physical adaptation rather than abstract reasoning. It's a strange mirror to hold up, but one that reveals just how fine the line is between what we are and what we might have been. But that's the beauty and the madness of evolution. Today we sit around asking what if, sipping our coffee and scrolling through theories, but maybe, just maybe, this was always the plan. Or at least, a plan. Because evolution isn't a straight highway, it's more like a twisted jungle path with forks, detours, and dead ends. What if it wasn't a primate that got the golden ticket to intelligence, but something else entirely, something furred, feathered, or even exoskeletoned? Imagine if we evolved from bears. Oh yes, big burly, don't mess with me bears. We'd probably all look like heavily bearded gym rats with a grudge against razors. Thick fur would be standard issue, no more sweater shopping in winter. Our societies would not be exactly bustling cities. More like cabins in the woods, minimal socializing, lots of me time. Think lone wolves but bear-sized and extra grumpy. Claws wouldn't need tools. Why invent a knife when your fingers are knives? Tech would be basic but tough. Caves with heated moss insulation, maybe a thermal rock or two. Socializing. Not interesting. Maybe introverts love being bears. Valentine's Day would be wild, but the rest of the year, total ghosting. Now swap that for dogs. Man's best friend? Try humanity's best beginning. If dogs were our ancestors, the world would look like a Pixar movie, pure loyalty, nose-based politics, and cuddle-based diplomacy. I bet this might be the favorite for many of you. Our cities would be tribal and teamwork-driven, organized like packs, with alpha leaders, howling councils, and tailwag parliaments. Forget ego-driven politicians. If someone sniffed wrong, they'd lose the vote. We'd have incredible senses, smelling emotions, hearing lies, and detecting food 3 blocks away. Technology would be built for cooperation, shared tools, group hunting strategies, and probably even group homework. Language might come from barks turned into syllables, and moral systems could develop from pack instincts, loyalty, protection, and justice. We'd likely all wear vests. No one knows why, but somehow that just feels right. But what if birds won the brain lottery? Tall beings with beaks, wings, and a flair for the dramatic. Our societies would be scattered like migratory routes, here for summer, gone by fall. Homes in treetops or on cliff edges. Air B and B. Nah, actual BNB, bird and beak. Music would dominate culture, language based on song, and courtship done through elaborate dance-offs. No one would ever argue silently. They'd chirp in falsetto until someone surrendered. With sharp eyes and sky-high views, architecture would soar, literally. Expect cities in the clouds, zip-lining infrastructure, and elegant aerial public transport. But everyone has feathers? Maybe public transport for kids and the elderly. We might prioritize storytelling, fashion, and high-speed gossip over brute strength. Independent, but can't guarantee. And then there's the bug world. If intelligent life came from insects, society wouldn't be run, it would be orchestrated. Hive minds would dominate. No presidents, no votes, just a queen and thousands of loyal, chemically programmed citizens. Cities would be megastructures built underground or woven into nature with terrifying precision. Communication, forget texting. We'd be spraying pheromones and tapping secret codes in rhythmic dances. Individualism, irrelevant. You'd be born a teacher, a soldier, or a builder, and you'd like it. Emotion would be secondary to function. Everything would run like clockwork, weddings scheduled by the hour, births assigned by colony needs, and no one ever cutting in line, mostly because they'd be biologically incapable. On the bright side, zero war. Just total obedience and mega-level productivity. Honestly, terrifying, but efficient. If one of these scenarios happened, today, maybe Homo sapiens would never have existed. Maybe there would be no Homo at all. Just another kind of sentient being, another dominant species standing at the top of the food chain, looking up at the stars and wondering about their place in the universe. And yet, even within the scientific narrative we accept today, there are mysteries that make our story feel more like ancient myth than dry fact. One of the most captivating figures in evolutionary science is the so-called mitochondrial Eve. No, not the biblical Eve, but a real woman, or rather the genetic lineage of a woman who lived in Africa about 200,000 years ago. Unlike the traditional idea of a first woman, this Eve wasn't the only woman alive in her time, but her mitochondrial DNA, passed down only through the maternal line, was so successful that all humans alive today can trace that part of their genetic code back to her. This discovery supports the widely accepted out of Africa theory, which argues that modern humans evolved in Africa before spreading across the globe. But what if we evolved directly and solely from mitochondrial Eve? We would be living in a world where genetic diversity never branched out, where all humans remained startlingly similar in appearance. We'd share identical skin tones, eye colors, hair textures, no blondes or brunettes, no blue or green eyes, just one universal human look. Global fashion would be less about individual expression and more about subtle style tweaks, since everyone would look nearly the same. Ancestral disputes? Maybe, non-existent. Family trees? One trunk, no branches. Our cultures might emphasize unity over identity, with less division and more collective understanding. But with sameness might come stagnation, less innovation, fewer contrasting ideas. A peaceful world maybe, but also eerily quiet in its uniformity. The richness of difference, lost to time. One mother, one face, one fate. Mitochondrial Eve would have been our godmother. Interesting. But would reproduction have happened? Maybe another way would be found. But mitochondria, the tiny powerhouses inside our cells, carry their own DNA separate from the nuclear genome. Because sperm contribute almost no mitochondrial DNA during fertilization, all of it comes from the mother. Over time, biologists tracked these unique matrilineal markers backwards, like stepping stones across generations, until they landed in the heart of the Kalahari Desert. Mitochondrial Eve's home was identified in 2019, an ancient land of harsh beauty and survival, perhaps the cradle not just of our species, but of our very identity. The idea that one lineage became dominant is likely due to a genetic bottleneck, a moment when humanity nearly went extinct. Some cataclysm, some ancient crisis, wiped out vast numbers of early humans, and only a small group survived. Among them was a woman whose mitochondrial legacy would ripple through time. A similar story exists for the paternal line too. Y chromosome Adam, whose genetic shadow stretches into every man alive today. But again, these are not the single parents of all humanity. They're simply survivors whose DNA happened to persist. Our story isn't a neat line drawn through time. It's a bush, twisted, complex, and rich with forgotten branches. Species emerged, thrived, and vanished, their fossils whispering tales from African savannas to Eurasian plains. We walk on the bones of cousins we never met, species we never knew, paths we never took. Evolution didn't pick us because we were the best, it picked us because we lasted. Because in the chaos of mutation, environment, and chance, something about our primate ancestors fit just right. The fossil record and the tools of paleoanthropology remind us that this journey was anything but straight. It was luck, survival, and adaptation dancing together through deep time. So, the reason we didn't evolve from something else isn't because it was impossible, but because the conditions weren't right. Because somewhere in the long lottery of life, primates got there first. But imagine if they hadn't. What if claws had beaten thumbs? What if feathers had taken flight into intelligence before fur ever walked upright? Would a bear civilization still fear the cold? Would insect hybrids even value individual names? Are we really the default intelligent species, or just the one that won the weirdest coin toss in Earth's history? We're just scratching the surface of these bizarre what-ifs. In upcoming episodes, we'll explore even stranger possibilities. So now we ask you, which path fascinates you the most? Very soon we'll take you on your next hypothetical adventure. Until that, subscribe and take care.